Hello everyone! Today's math lesson is for students in grade 3, but all of you are welcome to join. My name is Miss Shallow and I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Cooper Elementary in Spokane Public Schools. I'm so glad that you are participating with me today. If you didn't see our previous lessons, you're more than welcome to view them on KSPS to review different math facts. Today we will be learning all about fractions. We will start with some vocabulary and then look closer at ways we can represent and identify fractions. For today's lesson, you don't need any actual supplies, just our mental math brains. Let's begin. To begin with, we need to discuss what a fraction is. That way we can continue our learning. So a fraction is a number expressed as some number of equal parts of a whole. We can show fractions by using things like circles or groups or squares or number lines. Those all show fractions, knowing that it's a whole you're beginning with and you're getting a piece of it. Now, some of you might be wondering, when am I actually going to use fractions? Why are fractions important? Well, the concept of fractions is something that's around us every single day, whether we notice it or not. The first concept that we see fractions is looking at time. We talk about it being a half an hour or a 1:15. Those are all looking at fractions. We see fractions at stores when things are on sale. It might be 20% off or buy one, get one free, so you're paying 50% of the price. Oftentimes in food, we also deal with fraction because we start off with a large amount of something and we divide it up into equal pieces. So people that enjoy pizza oftentimes don't eat the entire pizza by themselves, but they take a slice or a piece of the whole. Same with cake. We oftentimes will cut up a cake, whether it be square or rectangle or round to begin with. Those pieces are a part of the whole. Another area where we use fractions oftentimes is in the kitchen. Maybe we're cooking or we're baking, and those recipes call for a half a cup or 1/4 of a tablespoon of something. So we see fractions when we bake. The last area where fractions are oftentimes seen in our daily lives is when we are traveling, and they look at distance. So when we are on the freeway, you might see a sign similar to the one in the lower corner where it has the miles and it's saying 1/4 mile until Flower Avenue, or 1.5 miles until Temperance Avenue, or 2 1/4 miles until the end of the freeway is there. So looking at fractions is important that we understand what a fraction is and how do we read and how do we talk about fractions, how do we identify fractions, because they're around us in our everyday life. Now it's important that we know that fractions are made up of different parts. So within a fraction, there are 2 parts. There are 2 numbers that make up a fraction, the top number and the bottom number. Let's begin with the top number first. The top number is the numerator. It is the number of parts that we are counting. It is the dividend. So that's looking at how many pieces are you going to get? How many pieces are colored? How many parts of the whole are we looking at? The bottom number is the denominator. It is the number of equal parts that the whole is divided into. So it's the divisor. So looking at this fraction on the side, we have 2/4. Our numerator is 2. We have 2 of the pieces. Our denominator is 4. There's 4 pieces that make up the whole. Now when we're looking at fractions, there's 3 fractions here off to the side. What do you notice that's similar between those 3 fractions? Look really closely. Maybe you notice that the numerator, the top number, all begins with 1. These 3 are all special fractions. It is called a unit fraction. Can you guess what a unit fraction means? A unit fraction is where the numerator is 1 and it's looking at one part of the whole. So when you're dealing with 1 unit, you're dealing with a unit fraction of the whole. Now to begin talking all about fractions, it's important that we remember that fractions are equal shares. That means that each piece of the whole is the same size as the rest of the pieces. So below I have a selection of different shapes. And we're going to start in row 1 talking about, are those shapes split equally? Then we'll move on to row 2 and row 3. So looking up at the top, looking at that first shape, we have a square that's divided into 4 equal columns. Now, I did give you a hint, they are equal. Those ones are all the same shape. Now let's move next door. Looking at that star. Does that star split equally into 2 pieces? Remembering a star has 5 points. Now look closely. I only have 2 points colored in and I have 3 points that are white. That means that that star is not divided equally. What about the square next door? Or what are your thoughts on that one? Now I know that there's 2 columns, and the first column is really skinny and the second column is really wide. But at least 2 pieces are the same size and the other 2 pieces are the same size. Does that work? No, that doesn't work. That shape is not divided equally. What about looking now at row 2? What are your thoughts on this first square? Is that divided equally? Yes, that is divided equally into 4 equal parts. What about the circle? Is my circle divided equally into 3 equal parts? Now I know that it's kind of tough to divide a circle into 3 equal parts, but using that Y or upside down peace sign, that does divide a circle into 3 equal parts. Now next door to the circle I have a quadrilateral. Notice that the quadrilateral is divided into 3 sections. Are those 3 sections equal? No, they're not. That top triangle definitely is much smaller than that middle piece. Now thinking about, what's your favorite candy? What if you had that shaped candy? Would it be fair that you got the triangle and I got that middle piece? No, it wouldn't be fair. So that is not divided equally. Next door to that, I have a triangle. And I have 3 smaller triangles that make it up. Are those 3 smaller triangles the same size? Yes, those 3 smaller triangles are the same size. Now we're back to this star. This star has 2.5 points shaded and 2.5 points unshaded. That is an equal way to divide a star. What are your thoughts about this pentagon? Do those 5 triangles make up the same shape? Same sizes? Yes, they do. That is an equal way to divide up a pentagon. What about a square? Divided into triangles. I had rectangles in row 1. I had little squares in row 2. Row 3, I have triangles. Does that work? It does. That does work. Now, this circle, is that divided equal? No, those are not equal parts. Now, looking at this next square, I've divided it this time into rows rather than columns. What are your thoughts there? Are those equal rows? They are. Good job. Now, the last one, we have a trapezoid. Now, I took this trapezoid and I divided it into 3 triangles. Are those triangles even? Yes, they are. Now, if you got all of those right, awesome work. Can you challenge someone else in your house? I want you to try after this to draw a shape and decide, did I divide it equally or not? And then see if the people that you live with agree or disagree with your thinking. So as we continue talking about fractions, we have fractions of groups and sets. Sometimes we don't always have a whole shape to divide into equal pieces, but we have a collection of items, a group of items, or a set of items that we can look at. Below I have some different items that we can look at. We can look at a set of buttons. We can look at a set of marbles, or a group of dogs and cats, or even a group of kids. Now all of those are, I can name different fractions. I can say the fractions that are black, the fraction of buttons that are black, or the fraction of buttons that are white. I could say the fraction of marbles that are green, the fraction of marbles that are blue, the fraction of marbles that are purple, or I could say the fraction of marbles that are green and the fraction of marbles that are not green. If I did that, I would need to add together the blue and purple because those colors are not green. I could do the fraction of dogs or the fraction of cats. Now, if we look closely at this group of kids, what are some different fractions that you can find. You could do fractions of boys or girls. You could do fractions of hair color. You could do fractions of shirt colors. You could find all sorts of different fractions in that group. Now, let's move on to naming fractions. Now that we've spent some time looking at fractions and identifying if they are equal parts or not, as well as fractions of a group or set, let's practice our naming of fractions. So I'm going to begin over here looking at this circle over on the side first. So my numerator is going to be my top number, the number of colored pieces, and my denominator, my bottom number, is going to be the number of total pieces. So how many pieces do I have shaded? You're correct. I have one piece shaded. And how many total pieces are there? 1, 2, 3. So I would say that circle has 1/3 shade. What about apples and oranges in this set below? Now, if I'm looking just at this set of fruit, I need to figure out my denominator first or my numerator first. It doesn't matter which one I start with first. Let's see. I have 5 total pieces of fruit. How many of those pieces of fruit are apples? There are 3 apples. What about oranges? I have 2 oranges. So I could say that I have 3/5 apples and 2/5 oranges. That works. Now this square, we can name it as a couple different fractions. The first fraction that we could give this square is what? If you said 2/4, you're correct. What other names could we give that fraction? We could give that fraction the name of 1/2 as well, because these 2 pieces together are the same size as these 2 pieces together. 2/4 and 1/2 are equal. They're equivalent fractions. What about the star? What is the fraction name? If you said 1/2, you are correct. What about the triangle? You're correct if you said 2/3. Great job. Let's move down here to the pentagon. I know my triangle shades are a little bit off, but if I have 3 pieces that are shaded, how many pieces are there total? There are 5 total pieces, so I have 3/5 of the pentagon that is shaded. What about the trapezoid? Notice I cut the triangles a little bit smaller this time. How many triangles do I have now? You're right, I have 6 triangles now. And how many of those triangles are shaded? Perfect, I have 2 6 that are shaded. Now, if I wanted to look at those beginning triangles that I started off with, the ones that were a little bit bigger, so if I looked at these triangles, I have 1 triangle, 2 triangles, and 3 triangles. Now, what fraction of those 3 triangles are shaded? Exactly, I have 1/3 that are then shaded. So I can look at it and say that 2 6 is equivalent to 1/3. Now, can I look at this set of flowers here and decide what is equal about those flowers? They're all the same size, they're all the same shape. But I have how many flowers altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flowers altogether. How many of those flowers are pink? There's 2 7 that are pink. What about blue? How many flowers that are blue? Perfect. 7 minus 2 is 5. So I have 5/7 of those flowers are blue. Now the last piece of fractions I want to make sure that we all understand is that the size of the whole matters. These 2 fractions that I have here, the small square we're going to call square 1 and the large square that we're going to call square 2. What's the fraction of the small square? 2/4. Great job. What's the fraction of the big square? Square 2. It is also 2/4. Now, are those 2/4 equal? Are they the same size? No, they're not, because I have different sizes of the whole. So if I looked at those one whole or those 1/4 over here on the side, you'll notice that they're different sizes. That pink one is much bigger than the gray one. So the size of the whole matters. Not all fractions are equivalent. We must know the size of the whole before we can say that a fraction is equal to another fraction. To end our lesson, I want to challenge you to find 5 fractions around your home or neighborhood. Fractions are everywhere. It just takes a close math mind to look for them and to find them. I've enjoyed doing some math with you today. Thank you for joining me as you continue learning from home. If you would like more activities around fractions or math or reading or writing, go to Spokane Public Schools Learning at Home website, and I look forward to seeing you on our next KSPS lesson.